Think about it, friends. Why is everything on the news a lie? How does it make sense that humans would do this? That they would control all news media so as to only broadcast lies to the American people? I'm talking to Americans, but it's worldwide. Less so Russia and China and places like that. But here in the United States, that Conan O'Brien comedy show did a thing where he showed how the news was not only the same across all these channels, but they were given script cues to say it in the same way. You can check that out. But I'm telling you, the thing to realize about this is why? Why would they do this? Why would they control all media? It doesn't make sense. Why would humans do this? Until you plug in the non-humans aspect into this. It is because they want to keep humans, their meat, from finding out the truth about what's going on, which is that we've been enslaved for a very long time. Think about that, friends. The best way to keep you enslaved is to keep you from knowing you're enslaved by another race other than human. That's right. Non-human interests. That's why they ridicule the non-human subject and extraterrestrials in academia, because they don't want anybody taking it seriously, because then that might possibly lead to actual continued relations or knowledge of these said non-humans, and thus the truth that they run our world like a cattle ranch. Cattle ranch. They eat humans. It's a food issue. It's a hunger issue. Weird as that sounds, that's why all the news is bullshit, to keep you asleep to that fact. So I've been working with Chris Turner a little bit because he's been publishing some great stuff. If you haven't seen, we had last worked about a year ago on a movie called Don't Mention the Reptilians, and I had thought that basically he had put that on pay-per-view, and he was telling me sometime after that, after I hadn't heard from him, that he was taking a rest from that or looking for some other more profitable venues. But he's back with a vengeance, really, because published a lot of great stuff. I mean, I saw the full Simon Parkes interview. He uploaded that, and that he did for that movie, Don't Mention the Reptilians, later named Alien Reptilian Legacy, I think for financial reasons. But in any case, he's back with his new title. It was Elephant in the Rooms. Now it's Chris Turner Productions, and he's uploading some great stuff. That interview with Simon, for instance, did a great job on that. One of the best I've seen. So in any case, sorry about that. Get the position right here. We're probably going to be working on some more stuff. It looks like he wants to do another interview, and one of the things that I've been talking with him about, I still haven't gotten a reply, and I don't know how enthusiastic he is, but if he's willing to discuss the elements that are in the Koran, talking about the Jinn, because he's interested in the Jinn and wants to do more about that. He's always been interested in that particular subject. I said, well, why not some reference then from the Bible? Because I think that the Jinn are likely, not necessarily, but likely demons, it seems to me, and or they might be in that general category of not so friendly to humans, entities that can shapeshift and cause all kinds of problems, and are really not our loving, wonderful, helpful non-humans, okay, whatever you want to call them. So in any case, I mentioned that as a suggestion, because really one of the problems with the alternative media community, the ufology alternative media, is that if you seriously mention anything about the Christian Bible, you're kind of an outsider. You're not going to be loved the way people like Simon Parkes and James Bartley and Miles Johnston and those people are in the ufology community. I mean, you are definitely not going to be like, oh, here's another brainwashed Christian stooge. And there are some people in the ufology movement, like L.A. Marzulli, and there's a few other people, Joel Schimmel or something, I forget. Sorry, I'm forgetting his name. In any case, there are some, but You know, they're not loved, and they're not really as interesting, frankly, as the non-Christian sorts. But nonetheless, when I listened to that interview with Simon Parks about the reptilian revelation, the reptilian net that they have around the Earth, I'm doing a little project on it now, and I'm just kind of yakking about it. But the upshot is that I'm comparing his testimony to the scriptural description of reality, because as I listen to him, he's very knowledgeable, very credible, and I don't think he's being deceptive as far as I can tell. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he's deceived and doesn't know it and is relaying wrong information. But as far as what he's saying, he sounds honest to me, and I don't get a negative vibe from him. But I haven't met him in person. There's a whole difference between when you're having an interaction in person to watching videos. So you got to judge for that if you haven't experienced that yourself. There's a difference between what you see in videos and a personal experience with that person. As for instance, the recent Stephen Greer episode tells us, I didn't have any idea about, I mean, I had some suspicion because I think, he always pulls up his collar, but I just didn't know how serious it was until, I mean, if, even irregardless of the shape-shifting or demonic distortion that Jan Brennan saw, for him to say in front of 50 people, I have powerful ET friends and they will kill for me. And that's clearly that he was threatened by the psychic power that Jan had, because she was thinking, this guy's got big balls. There's something about his balls are too big or something, And then he says, you have to have big balls to do this, to stand up there and tell bullshit. Maybe, I don't know. I mean, maybe even he thinks he's genuine, but I mean, for him to say that, if he doesn't realize consciously that that's a sign that there's something wrong, then, I mean, you got these people that are, they're evil, but they think that they're right, Anyway, so I listening though to Simon Parks, for instance, and James Bartley, I've tried to, talk to them. James won't answer me, and a lot of people won't answer me. Carrie wouldn't answer me because they don't want to talk to a Christian. I understand they don't want to talk to us because to them it's not a win situation for them. They don't like that. They don't believe in it. They feel it's brainwashed, unpleasant rhetoric, and I totally understand. But I still think that a reasonable examination of the scripture, what the Bible says about these non-humans, is as worth it. Of course, it's more worth it to me, but to people who are purely, non-religious or just agnostic, whatever, wanting to see what the truth is, it's worth a reasonable, intelligent look, because I think that there's a lot of information. For instance, the whole narrative is going to be different if we find out that there really is a hell down on the earth, because the scripture says, though they dig into hell, okay? If they can dig into hell, it means it's a physical place. Now, maybe it is in this fourth dimension, lower astral, as Peggy Kane puts it, whatever place, Sheol, Hades, but, if we can determine through listening to these folks that that's a real element, okay, that people are being punished in this place specifically, not just, just some gloomy place that people go and now it's this other place and you get hunted by reptilians and so forth, as Peggy Kane describes. But if it's really a place that in many descriptions, in this one in particular, I forget the guy's name, Sanchez, I think, or something. Anyway, it's a Latino name. And he was saying that this demon, when he tells the demon, I'm not supposed to be here, the demon checks a list and he says, oh yeah, I see, you're right, you're not supposed to be here. It's very specific. And there's people that were, he saw being tortured, that it had to do with their sexual sin. So the torture that they get, the punishment, is related to their sin. So if we find out that
place exists, if there really is a hell under the earth where people are being tortured, and it's very specific according to their sin, and the demons know, who's supposed to be there and who isn't, and because of that, they must have a way of keeping track of it. I mean, I'm not saying they got a computer down there where they're looking at it, but they probably got something like that where they know who's supposed to be there and who's not, if that's the case. So, if that is happening, if that is real, and it's not just a fairy tale that people are telling, okay? I've seen enough of these hell witnesses. Just go on YouTube, type in hell witness, hell testimony. I'm convinced these people are seeing something real, but, is it a deception? And the problem with the whole deception for the saying that there's a hell when there isn't, is that seems to work against everything that the reptilians would want, even if there is no God and judgment and heaven and hell and that whole story, because it would make people want to be Christians. It would make them want to be saved. It would make them want to come to God and the light and do good. And every indication, whether you're a Christian or not, tells us they want you to sin. They want you to have all the luxury items and do simple things and shoot people and go to wars. They want hate, they want drug use, they want all this stuff, all this negative stuff. They don't want you coming to be a light-filled being, okay? I'm kind of speaking from the New Age perspective. So with that being the case, how does it help the reptilians if in the event there's no God and heaven and hell story? How does that help the reptilians who seem to want darkness to have something that would bring them to the light? Because the hell, the whole concept of hell, if you knew about hell, if you realized or you decided for whatever reason that hell was real, chances are you would shape your ass up. So and when you did that, you would be a better person. You would not engage in violence and drugs and all this other negative stuff, because you would fear going to that place. So as to the agnostic, I would say, or to the atheist, I would say, how does that help the reptilians? So I think that if there are these hell testimonies, chances are, I think they're true. And listen to some of these people. I mean, the Angelica Moro thing, Angelica Zambrano Moro, all these different, there's these people, and people that were completely non-religious, like William Boronat, the Jew. Okay, that's a powerful testimony he gave. This guy had no concept of hell, and here he is seeing Christians in hell, and and he had never been a Christian, didn't know squat about Christianity, nothing, and he's seeing Christians and he's seeing pastors in hell. Okay, and he's describing this. So you can, he was his main thing was womanizing. At least that's what he was talking about there, but being one of his main sins. And so he would go from one chick to another, and that was his whole deal. And when he saw this, he was just so stunned that he was basically frozen, like for days afterward, just kind of like sitting in a daze, going, from all this. And so if we in our research find out that this place called hell is real, then it lends credibility to where we hear about hell the most. What? The Bible. And who talks about hell the most? Oh, our beloved ascended master Jesus. Oh no, that messes up our whole New Age idea of Jesus, the friendly, loving person who would never send souls to hell or have anything to do with that or talk about that. Guess what? He talks about it more than anybody in God's Word. Check it out. Okay, so my comment would be, look, if you're going to have a reasonable look at this whole situation and what's really going on, because the fact of the matter is, atheist or Christian or Buddhist or Muslim, whatever, if we don't look at all sources of information with a fair hand, if we're willing to read scripture and look at the Koran for Jinn seriously, then how are we being reasonable not to look at the Jewish text, the scripture? Okay, so that would be my comment, and that's my feeling right now. And I'm working on this to kind of put together a more intelligent report about it, and see if I can kind of nail this thing down to where I at least have my opinion about it. I mean, I already do have my Christian perspective about it, but I think that, you know, there's still a lot of information that we don't have, and also it would be fruitful for us to include some of these elements that the alternative media ufology community are interested in, and include a reasonable discussion of possible information related to the whole situation in, you know, from God's Word. And that is that to me is worth a lot if we can do that successfully, because it means that we can bring people that wouldn't listen to 2 seconds to anybody from a straightforward religious preaching standpoint, someone who's willing to look at all the stuff, like from Alex Collier, Peggy Kane, Simon Parks, all these people that have, you know, these fascinating witnesses, Jan Brennan, all these people, you know, if we're willing to listen to their stories, which a lot of Christians scorn and say, oh, well, you know, it doesn't match the Bible, therefore it's all demons, blah, blah, blah. Okay, we do tend to be overly suspicious, and with good reason, because I think that one of the main reasons, for instance, you've got the no aliens crowd of the Christians, is that and I think that this is true, that there's a lot of demons pretending to be extraterrestrials and using the extraterrestrial narrative to fool people into thinking that these are spirit guides or Palladians or somebody else that's a benevolent, intelligent entity that can shapeshift, okay? Chances are, I would say, most of these encounters might be actually demons. I mean, and Peggy Kane completely agrees. She says all these people that are, you know, channeling and all these people, they're talking to reptilians. They have no idea until you reverse speech them. And she says that, and she said this a while ago, so they probably have it in place now, though I haven't fully found that, although it seems to me like it's a lot less. But what she says is they have found a solution, or they're going to find a solution to the reverse speech thing. So they might even have that on YouTube already that can catch, at least, you know, whatever country, like if you're an English-speaking person, if they catch a word in reverse, they might have a way to scramble it so that when you try playing it back in reverse, you won't be able to hear it anymore like you used to. Yeah, I reversed, by the way, Simon Parks and got nothing. Absolutely nothing. I didn't hear a single thing. You reverse David Icke, and you can't go for 10 minutes without getting some stuff.
We want towards that aim. Yeah, it's no real. Yeah, it's no real.
This guy has at least some knowledge of what's happening. And as over Elon Musk seal and as over Elon Musk seal.
And I also reversed, who was it, Randy Kramer, Mars Marine, 17 years, and didn't get anything negative on him, but he did say some stuff, something like Earth something, whatever. I shouldn't elaborate too much because I don't remember. It's been a little bit a while, but nothing bad. I do remember. There's nothing that made me think that he was lying. So I think, you know, because I caught some words, and so that means it wasn't completely blocked out, then I would say there's a fair chance that he's telling the truth. I believe that his testimony is real. So I think it's worth something for us to inject a reasonable, and I ask all the reasonable Christians that are out there that you know, don't scorn me. You know, they think that there is a case for extraterrestrial life. The problem is that demons are using it for deceptions. So that's where it's you know, it gets muddied, and then Christians say, well, it just might as well be on the safe side and assume they're all demons. Okay, fine, because you don't need to talk to these any sort of beings like that, and I would agree. But to say that there's no extraterrestrials, and that would mean all of astronomy is a lie, because there are all these planets and stars. If they exist, would they all be empty? And therefore, we shouldn't say what we don't know. That's the main thing. And I do think that there are extraterrestrials. They may be in another dimension, which maybe they're even from this lower astral realm, the fourth dimension. But I don't think they are. I think the people that are describing these other dimensions, the fifth dimension, all the way up to whatever it is, the 16th dimension, I think that there's truth to that. I think it's a multi-dimensional universe. There are these higher dimensional beings. There are benevolent beings that make humans look like scum morally. I think there's all that going on. The problem is that the Earth is for God's purpose, in my opinion. It's for a soul testing and development. So testing to see whether you will continue in wickedness, or if it's and also then once you it's also refining, to refine the soul, and that's the real purpose, and that's the purpose of the serpents and the scorpions. Okay, because they're kind of like jailers. These demons and devils, they tempt us. And then they also torture us in hell and punish us. They're aware of the whole system, okay? And they're under strict orders from God not to reveal the whole heaven and hell thing, obviously, right? Because I think that these beings, the only ones that are working in this capacity with any sort of ability to talk to any humans on this side, are going to be having the complete fear of God, even if they're not ultimately rewarded. They're fearing going back to a worse part of hell or something. So they're gonna keep straight on the whole thing. But you'll notice from these, for instance, the Susan Reed encounter, there's nothing about hell. You'll notice from Simon Parks, from the aliens he's talking to, nothing about hell. And certainly Peggy Kane is an anti-Christian, basically calling, she kind of throws her hands up and says, quote unquote demons, but they're really reptilians, so you can see her point of view about all that. But I think it would be worth a try, worth an effort to peer, because you see, if the elements of for instance, Satan, if Satan is real and all these satanic ritual abusers are not doing something for a symbol of Satan, and Satan doesn't exist, it's just a symbol, then that's one thing. But if there really is a Satan, then you have to consider the possibility that what you... Sorry, I don't know where I'm going to cut off here. What I was saying was, so if that element of hell can be reasonably shown to exist, if researchers like Chris Turner says, well, okay, it looks like that all these other stuff, the Jinn are real, the reptilians are real, the mantis aliens are real, but then we find out, oh, wait a minute, yeah, there is apparently a place underground in the earth called hell where souls are being tormented. If that's the case, then it changes the narrative from being it's just reptilians and mantis aliens using the people of Earth to this planet being a place, a sphere of judgment. We've got a protest going on. So if it is a sphere of judgment, okay, if Earth is a place where souls are being judged, then if there's judgment going on because souls are being punished in hell, it's not just an unpleasant place that reptilians stash us. If that's true, then it changes the entire narrative of the reality that we're in. I mean, if this is really, if this is just an alien, we're being used in an evil way by aliens, okay, but if there is judgment, if there is a hell, if there is a real Satan, okay, then it means that chances are other elements of the Bible are true, such as there being a heaven and a hell and a judgment and a final judgment coming up and a great tribulation, World War III and all that, which I personally believe in. And then if we can show that in a reasonable research way, along with all the other information about the Jinn from the Koran. Okay, if you're willing to read the Koran, which, by the way, I've read the Koran, and just want to be very clear about my witness. It is such nonsense that I really feel like I think there's something wrong if you don't read the Quran and say to yourself, what is this nonsense? It doesn't even make sense as you read it. It just straight up doesn't make sense the way the Bible does, okay? So there's a very big difference in these two documents.
Okay, one interesting thought about it is in the comparison between the alternative media ufology community that does not acknowledge the Bible as a source of true information, and those of us who do find it true, is can you do anything about it? Okay, so in practical terms, what I mean is, can we change the world power structure? Okay, are we associated with real change in the world? Because I think one thing we can all agree on is that we are not satisfied with the state that our world is in, and largely because of these non-human entities. So who will be the first to discover exactly what these non-humans are, or what some of them are, or to be standing beside an intelligent non-human on camera, on YouTube, for the world to see? Who will be the first to achieve that? The Christian or the non-Christian? Okay? And who will change the power structure of the world? The Christian or the non-Christian? Hey, so Steve, where's your aliens that are gonna kill for you? Why don't you have them come kill me? Huh? I'm still alive. I'm still breathing over here. So what if there is something to the story that the reptilians have a right to eat people if they sin? That's kind of an important little detail to know if that is what in fact is going on. Because if it is that people are, this is a sphere of judgment, then it could be that the entire thing of us being victimized by the reptilians is not the same story that we think it is. Because if we're sinning, choosing crime, then it is going to be perhaps a karmic righteousness or a payment of some kind to have these afflictions come upon us. Because what we see from the scripture is that demonic beings are an affliction. So when people have a disease or something, and they say it's a demon that's behind it, well, that's a living person that is behind a karmic payment, or whatever you want to call it, maybe a challenge that you have with a particular sin or a particular weakness, and it's going to be with you for as long as you need it, because God gave us that situation. So that's an entirely different story of reptilian aliens coming and messing with us. Okay, helicopter buzz in progress. Got your unmarked white and black. Okay, got an approaching helicopter as I enter into the tennis club over here. Approaching helicopter as I enter into the tennis club. Here he comes. It is your fire helicopter, but could also be a hologram coming by. It's called entering the establishment buzz. Fire helicopters used for psychological warfare, friends. That's right. On Ripley's Believe It or Not. For uploading reptilian shapeshifter movies to YouTube, we do not live in a free country. We've got our arrival home buzz. Arrival home buzz. As I would approach the vehicle, the helicopter approaching. Here he comes right here, fire helicopter, LAFD, used for this purpose once again twice in the same day for uploading reptilian shapeshifter movies to YouTube. We don't live in a free country, friends. If you upload proof of non-humans to YouTube or anywhere else, chances are you will become a targeted individual psychological warfare program conducted by the United States military, which is run, by my estimation, by non-humans. Trump is not in charge. None of them are in charge. No humans are in charge. It is non-humans, and they control everything that's going on, because if humans were really in charge, I doubt they would be doing this.
I'm not familiar enough with...
But you do know that reptilians and Draco, you know, the blood sacrifices, the whole Luciferian thing, the kids being killed and eaten, I mean, that humans have been eaten and taken off planet, et cetera, and used for slaves in other colonies, etc.
I hate to say that, but that's far worse than what you've just said.
It's far worse.
Yes, far worse.
Far worse, yeah.
And that the whole blood situation is, it's unbelievable.
I started to see a figure sitting there, and he's sitting not in a throne, but he's actually sitting in this heap of gold. He's enormous, at least 12 feet into the air. Just sitting there with a menacing look on his face, almost like a bull's head, but with a human face. So it was really big, deep, like blood red. You know how blood is like almost black, but red. He's really intimidating. He's sitting there, horns that come out and curve. I was terrified. I was terrified. Seeing Satan face to face, I knew I was dead and I was going to hell.
If you're watching this, it's not too late. Say this prayer now. Father in heaven, please save my soul by the work of your Son Jesus on the cross, and show me your pure words in the authorized King James Bible.